come in with an open mind and with an expectancy of changing.
Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to Shifting My Life podcast. We have Miss Brenda Pearson here. She's going to be sharing her thoughts and her expertise on mental health and how the effects of it is in our families, with our friends, and just she's going to just be sharing about mental health because as she and I was talking before we came on, I thank you so much for joining today with Shifting My Life podcast. And the reason why I started this podcast is because our lives are being shifted so much. And it's important that we share these stories all over the world with family members. And, my prayer is that people will sit down and watch this on YouTube and be able to share with their families or their friends, and it'll touch them. And something said or done will, shift the atmosphere in their life. And so Miss Brenda, again, like I said, is going to be sharing with you about mental health. And we were talking about how in the Black community that I think that it's been a shift with since COVID came in, because everybody got into affirmations.
Right.
Did you notice that?
Yes, everyone got into affirmations.
Everybody got into affirmations and seemed to focus more on their inner health and stuff. I don't know if it was because of the time or is it because they got scared. What you think it was the reason why that shit came with that?
I think it's because, they were probably it was a time too, and I just think it was a good time too. But I think it's because they were probably in the house and they were in with themselves and they probably realized like, I need some help. Or they were at home and they were with family members or wives, spouses, and they were like, I noticed some things that, you probably haven't been
address and change.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your field and what you do and your, your credentials.
Okay. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I've been licensed since 2008.
Okay.
And I work primarily telehealth. So through my own private practice.
Okay,
which
great.
Is Finding the Path, but also through...
It's called Finding the Path because we want you to contact her for therapy. We do. We want to encourage you to do that. And so go ahead, I'm sorry.
And through Better Health. So Better Health. Yes,
okay.
Which is an online format. And so since 2008, I've been licensed, working. I've seen a shift in our community coming in for or seeking mental health or therapy to address mental health issues. So that's been good to see. There's still some things that we need to address, like job-related stressors and things like that, but it's gotten much better.
Okay. Do you see more men?
Yes.
The increase in men.
Yes.
Because men have a tendency to not want to discuss and share their feelings about things that they're going through. But again, I think it was COVID that made everybody kind of like do a self-analysis of themselves and say, well, I've been dealing with this. And I'm gonna just be honest with you, COVID alone was hard enough to deal with. COVID alone, having COVID. So that's therapy itself that people need to talk about. Do you get a lot of people now that call in about COVID and how it has affected them and how has it changed their lives?
Yeah, so some of the, I'm seeing some of the PTSD, some of that, a lot of grief.
Yes.
Those are trying to process grief, trauma.
And I'm glad that you touched on that because I share with people all the time that PTSD does not just affect people that's been in the army.
Right.
It's so many things that we go through in our lives, that can cause us to have that. It's a trauma.
Yes.
Any type of trauma can bring that on.
Right.
We walk around here and so many people walking around here like, well, no, ain't nothing wrong with me, but everybody got something, some type of trauma that they've been through, whether it was from the childhood all up to now. So do you identify with a lot of children, women, men? What ages do you deal with?
I've worked with starting at age 5.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I mean, because I get phone calls all the time. I deal with the grief, But I still get a lot of phone calls about 5-year-olds, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's nobody that I know. It's nowhere to call because with Jindal, it started with Jindal.
Yes.
He closed down a lot of the mental health facilities for our children. And so that's good to know. I'll share that. I'll share that information.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have dealt with 5-year-olds. What possibly can a 5-year-old be going through?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, we're not giving names, so we're not breaking any HIPAA.
Right.
We're just talking about circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Well, 5-year-olds go through a lot of that social, well, not like adjustment when they're beginning school. You'll see some of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Them starting school, learning how to play, how to share, how to pick up on cues, like whether or not on facial expressions on film.
And the parents actually feel like they need therapy for that. Is that bad?
It depends. Sometimes you'll have kids and they're starting kindergarten and they have a lot of anxiety about being separated, or separation anxiety, being separated from the mom.
From the mom because they've been at home.
Yes.
And they haven't been at other schools like preschool and all of that, or daycare.
Right.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And so you'll be able to work with a lot of the things. A lot of it is working with the parent, but with a 5-year-old, I would work with the mom or dad or both parents and the child. It wouldn't be just the child.
Okay. Again, we're speaking to Brenda Pearson, and you please make sure that you share with us again the name of your company.
Finding the Path or Better Help.
Finding the Path of Better Help.
Yes.
That's where you can find her at, and it's so important. Some of the things that the ladies. Touch on some of the things that ladies, because we have so many hats that we have to wear.
Right.
What is something that you find that if you throughout the year that a lot of the ladies call in for?
For the ladies, it's a lot of times the stressors like job-related stress. For our culture, for African Americans or Black women, it's sometimes being in positions where they have been overlooked for certain positions, or they're applying for different positions, or they are not getting these positions when they're applying for them. They feel that they're just as qualified. So you'll see that, how to kind of deal with those macro and micro management types on the job. So you'll see that. It's with boundaries a lot of times.
Boundaries in relationships.
Yes.
And
children.
A lot of times I have a friend, we talked about that this morning about the young ladies are staying in abusive relationships and not knowing how to set those boundaries. Do you get a lot of the younger ladies that call in about that?
Yes. Lots and lots of women. And so we call it partner violence now. And you get a lot of the women calling in, seeking therapy on how to not necessarily leave, because some of them are just not at that place. Right. But how to figure out who they are, themselves.
That's the key.
Yes.
That is the key right there. Figuring out who they are, because it's so many stresses in the family. It's so many stresses growing up that we lose sight on who we are. It's not just ladies, it's men as well. Lose sight on who they are, and then we end up in these relationships not knowing how to set boundaries. And it's 2024, and we think about it shouldn't be going on as much, but it still is going on. And I think it's so important. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because I think it's so important that we know that it's help. It's help out here, you guys. Don't try and deal with certain situations by yourself. You have individuals that are professional. She's been doing this for 2008, so I know she knows. I know she has some answers. I know she has some words of encouragement to give you on different topics that you may think that it is not even much. Name one thing that you dealt with that you never thought you'd deal with.
I pretty much seen dealt with it all.
I know. Since 2008, I'm
Yeah.
sure that you have.
Yeah.
What one case that has just broke your heart?
Um,
Because they tell us not to get it in attached. They tell us not to get attached, don't get involved. But it's kind of hard to do that when you're in the medical field. You know how to set your boundaries as well, because I find that a lot of times, sometimes it's that one case that you'll take home with you, and you'll find yourself pondering on it, and you'll be praying about it, and you're pondering on it. So tell me one particular case that really just kind of touched your heart.
I think in general the cases that probably touch my heart more are the trauma-related cases, especially for the children that are some of the issues are sexual, like coming from a history of sexual abuse. That's probably the one that would I would probably go home like, could I have done that? Could I have said that?
Right.
Yeah.
Did you say the right thing? Because in our era, growing up, it was secret.
Right.
You don't tell and you don't talk. You keep that amongst yourself. Don't tell nobody. Tell your parents, or either you share with the pastor. Well, a lot of times the pastor and the priest that's causing the abuse. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, what are some of the ways that you use to break the boundaries down? Because you know what, when I'm doing my grief sessions, I thank these ladies. I'm like, I thank you for entrusting in me to be able to talk to me. So what are some of the ways that you use to be able to bring yourself and meet them exactly where they are? Because I know that's important, right?
Yes.
With therapy.
Yeah. So to build rapport, and I want to go back, if I can quickly go back to the pastor issue. So, sometimes what I would, because I'll have some folks and they would say, but I've gone through counseling with my pastoral staff, my pastor, the people, and I would have to tell them that's great, but make sure that they know that the pastor's license or training may not be like mine, because I am required to have so many hours of training with the state and meet so many ethical and HIPAA and guidelines, and make sure I am not able to speak or work with anyone outside my scope of training.
That's very important.
Yeah. So, just making certain that they know that there is a difference. It's okay to go to, but sometimes when you go to your pastor, kind of ask those questions, especially if it's trauma,
And that's true, because, a lot of times pastors don't really understand.
Right.
They don't really understand where these people are right now. And as a minister myself, because I worked in the health field, I feel like I can separate that, give them some spiritual advice as well as giving them the professional advice. And so we're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to come back in a little while on the second part of the episode. Good evening. Thank you for coming back and joining us for the second half of the episode of Shifting My Life podcast. We have Ms. Brenda Pearson here with us. She's going to share with you about some mental health knowledge. She's been doing this for since 2008, and so she has a lot of wisdom and knowledge that she can share with you. For your family, for your children, for your husband, for yourself. And so I just want to encourage you today that if you've never spoken to a therapist, pick up the phone. Ms. Brenda has her own LLC that she runs. It's called
Finding the Path.
Finding the Path, and she also works for
Better Health.
Better Health. And so either way it goes, you can reach her. I want you to kind of talk a little bit more about the different diagnoses that you may come across when you're talking, because you talk about the PTSD, of course grief, of course setting boundaries, but those are not really the main diagnoses that you may run into when you do your interviews.
So a lot of the people that I see have not been diagnosed. They have some that say, well, I've seen a doctor before, a psychiatrist, or worked with someone before, and I have a past history of like generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, PTSD, or other bipolar, they'll tell me. But a lot of them have never seen or have never been diagnosed.
Wow.
Not everyone needs to be diagnosed.
Right.
Because a lot of them are or just having, a lot of them are going to like grief, depression, but they're not clinical.
Right.
So they don't have to be diagnosed.
Right.
That, low mood doesn't necessarily mean that
you need a diagnosis
Right,
behind
right.
that and medication behind that.
Yes.
But you do need to talk about it.
We do need to talk
Yes,
about it, and
yes.
do need to. So they have different types of assessments, like PHQ-9s, and then they have other ones that we can do just to kind of see how they're looking.
Yes.
In terms of the rating. If it's high, to see, if they say, well, I'm not ready for medications, then I'll say, well, let's try this. If they're not, if they're not saying they have any thoughts of harming themselves or someone else.
Do you have providers that you're in contact with in case they do, you think that they do need further, to see a
Yes.
psychiatrist? You have,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that you can refer them to.
Yes.
And it is okay to take medicine. I want y'all to know that too. As well as she can share with you, it's okay to take medicine. Doesn't mean that you'll be on it the rest of your life. No, it doesn't. And sometimes you will have to be on it. But guess what? There's so many successful people.
Right.
I don't think that until some of the stars start stating that they were bipolar, that people didn't realize that you can have a successful life.
Exactly.
Take your medicine.
Right.
Every day, the same time.
Yeah.
Don't share your medicine.
No, don't share the medicine. Don't share your medicine.
And so, talk about that, about, encouraging people to let them know that they can have a successful life just because, you may be going through some things. It's important that they call you up and talk to you about that.
Yes, you can have a successful life. If you have some things that's going on and it's interfering with your daily function, and you wake up and you have several days where you don't feel yourself, you feel extremely low.
Yes,
you're fatigued. You're just not yourself. I just kind of say, or how you feel, and I just don't feel myself.
And I think a lot of people do. They go through that. And don't understand. They think it's normal. It's not normal, y'all, for you to wake up 2 and 3 days out of the week and just not feeling like myself. I'm just feeling kind of low. Or if you want to stay in the house, you want to keep all the curtains, isolate yourself. That's not normal.
Right.
That is not normal.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean like you may come. I have some that they only come to me one time, and they'll say, thank you for, just talking to someone, just getting this out. I have some people that say, I just want someone to know that this happened to me. And so now, I don't have to keep this secret.
Right.
I'm not ready to share it with my, whoever.
Do you follow back up with them?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I follow back up with them. Always make certain that they know that, there are numbers 24 hours. The urgent care facilities, if it's an emergency.
Because I think that a lot of people will say, I'm gonna call her. I talked about it. I released it. But you haven't really dealt with it. You talked about it and released it, but then they don't want to talk about it no more.
Yes.
I can identify to that because I was young and went to a therapist, and she started talking and things start coming up, and I'm like, I'm not coming back. In my head, I'm saying, I'm not coming back to this because I don't want to bring this up. I don't want to talk about this. I'm not ready to deal with this. And so, what do you do? Can you pick it up? That when we get to that stage where we don't want to talk about it, can you pick that up?
I do, but because I'm also trained to read your affect, what's going on with your face and your body language. But it's okay if you don't want to talk about it, because I let them know that this is for them. They lead this. So if they want to come now, if they're still saying that, hey, I'm just not able to keep a job. I don't want to go to work. Then I'll say, I'm wondering if we need to talk about this.
Right.
Because this is how you're going to get better.
That's right.
But it won't be like a right away start.
Yes.
That I first have to build a rapport,
Yes, gotta make them feel comfortable
like
and
they
feel
can
like
trust
they can share with you about what's going on in their life. I just, I'm so grateful that we did this, and so we probably will do it again. I'll probably bring you back again because I'm big on mental health. I know that when I finished nursing school, I knew that that's what I wanted to focus on because, we don't talk. You know, we have suffered so much because we won't find somebody that we're comfortable with. It's so important that you find that one person that you're comfortable with. You can call them, you can talk to them. And so you've been doing this since 2008. Do you have a number in your head of how many people you probably have helped?
It's a lot of people. A lot of people.
And you know, we have jobs that we
Yes.
get tired of, but don't you get a fulfillment out of this?
I do.
Do you feel it's a calling?
I do. I do. And before I begin with anyone, from the children to the adults to the older group, I pray because I don't take this lightly.
Right.
I ask God to help me to remember the skill set that He's given me. I don't want to, I want the Holy Spirit to make sure that my listening skills, because I don't want to not listen and I'm not listening to what they're saying.
Right.
And listening in terms of what they're saying, but what their body is telling
yes.
what their eyes are telling.
Do you like the telehealth? Or do you like in person?
I find that the telehealth, I find that for some folks that probably are not comfortable coming in, it works. But for some folks, they may say, I really want to be in person, or they could get with telehealth and say some sessions later that I want to come in person, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think I like the in person.
Yeah,
better. I had one doctor I did a telehealth with, and he said, "Oh, you got some beautiful pictures on your wall." I'm calling you for you to talk to me, and you looking at all of my pictures in my house.
Yeah.
And so, on a lighter note, can you share with us that you do for fun, that to release, because you're listening to other people. So, what do you do for fun to release?
I walk. Read. I do a lot of reading because that's something that I enjoy. I take long baths. That's something that I enjoy. Just kind of have those moments where I give myself a short time to do nothing.
To take care of yourself.
Take care. Recently got some rocking chairs because that's something that I want to do. But just have moments where I'm just in the present, in the moment, not really thinking about much, just focusing on whatever's in my immediate environment.
Because we give and pour so much into other people, and it's important that as therapists, as ministers, and as nurses, that we take the time for ourselves to recognize that and say no, that I can't do this today because I need to take care of myself. I know that a lot of people pull on me, and sometimes I won't answer the phone, or sometimes I won't attend an event, and I tell them I had nothing to give you today. I needed to pour into myself. Do you have days like that?
Yeah, those you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right, you can't.
So when I feel that those days are coming on, then I don't. I don't. I just take a step back.
Yes.
I'm not able. I'm very good with my boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah, very good with my boundaries, and when I'm not able to do it.
Did it come right away?
It did not.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. As women, I don't think that it comes right away for us, but we learn over time to set our boundaries and stand on them. And we just pray that that God sends people in our life that understands the boundaries.
Yes.
And so I thank you so much again for coming in, today to just share. And prayerfully, some people will be calling you, and I probably will bring you in again to do another interview because, like I said, I'm big on mental health. I want our people to know that you gotta feel comfortable. You gotta find somebody that that you feel like cares about you, and that's another thing. It has to be somebody that. I don't want just anybody talking to anybody. I want to be able to feel like that person cares about what I'm saying. Do you find that a lot from the people that you talk with on the phone, that they kind of like listen to see what you're saying? Because I need to feel her out. I need to see if she really cares about me.
Well, and I tell them too, like one doctor doesn't fit all, one therapist doesn't fit all. So if you feel that I don't particularly like this therapist, then explore, go to other other therapists and see, because this is someone that you're going to be telling your keep your story
your
too.
stories, your secrets.
Yeah, so you want to
Yeah.
make sure that it's a good fit for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell everybody on here where they can reach you at, what you're on, what social media platforms.
So if you
you're
go
on.
to betterhelp.com, you can look me up, Brenda Pearson. Then you can read about my background, my education, all of that is on the site. For outside of that, you can email me. That'll be best at pearsonb, as in boy, 64 at yahoo.com. Pearson, Pearson, B like boy, 64 at yahoo.com.
Y'all make sure that you contact Miss Pearson. Thank you so much for coming in today. I love you for what you do, and I will continue to keep you in my prayers because I know that God has a assignment on your life for that. You've been doing it for 2008, so it's not a mistake that you're in this field. He chose you just for that, just for this purpose. And so again, I pray that this episode will shift your life in your family. Share with family and friends that you possibly think need some therapy. And until next time, y'all make sure you tune back in to Shifting My Life podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.